Welcome to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Oakland County and the state of Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Today we'll be talking to a number of people about topics of interest and importance to Michiganders and Oakland County residents just like you. Let's begin with what's making headlines on our local news page on CivicCenterTV.com. Our top story comes from Bridge, Michigan's Jonathan Osting as state revenues hit great highs in recent years and income tax triggered by a 2015 law will soon go into effect. However, according to Attorney General Dana Nessel, that tax cut will be short-lived. That's after State Treasurer Rachel Eubanks requested a formal opinion as her office finalizes revenue numbers from this year to determine whether or not the year's income tax rate should be reduced per said 2015 law. The provisions triggering could drop income tax rates as much as 0.21% from 4.25% down to 4.01%. Should that persist. While Nessel's office says that these tax cuts would be a temporary measure per the law enacted in 2015, state Republicans who passed this provision when they had their majority in the state's Congress argue that the cuts should be permanent. In a statement, the Attorney General's office wrote, quote, "Essentially, the legislature has determined that if a situation exists where a percentage increase in the state revenue in the immediately preceding fiscal year is greater than the rate of inflation for that same year and the inflation rate is positive, then the state can afford to provide relief to its taxpayers," end quote, in the form of an aforementioned income tax cut. Nessel's office continued stating, quote, "Because that situation is only temporary, it makes sense that rather than providing a permanent tax reduction based on the perhaps unusual economic circumstances of a single fiscal year, the legislature intended to relieve the taxpayers in only a temporary way as well," and closed quote. That's not the case, says former state governor Rick Snyder, a Republican who was in the state's high executive office at the time of the bill's passing in 2015, stating, quote, the Attorney General's opinion today is unreasonable. It's an unreasonable overreach of what was agreed upon. Michigan taxpayers deserve the surplus dollars now and into the future, Snyder said in a statement on Tuesday. House Minority Leader Matt Hall, a Republican from Richland Township, called the Attorney General's interpretation of the law, quote, "word games," and closed quote, and said that he too believes that these tax cuts should be permanent per that law enacted in a previous Congress. Where this stands, we will surely find out. Potentially it could be an interpretation clarified and later finalized by the state's courts, said the Attorney General regarding her opinion on the provision, quote, I think that's the way a court is likely to interpret it. So more spatting between Democrats in leadership positions today in Lansing versus Republicans who previously had leadership in our state's legislature as well as back in 2015 in the governorship as well, with Rick Snyder then in the position, arguing over where the state currently stands. The good news is the state has been in a surplus of late. The other good news is that's going to mean a tax cut on your income taxes in the near future. The bad news is, who knows if that's going to persist? Who knows if that's for 1 year? And our politicians are now in an argument about that, trying to determine where that stands. And that's going to cost, of course, more taxpayer dollars as it goes through these processes of a back and forth, discussion after discussion, legal fees going through the court system, if that's where it ultimately is going to be defined, instead of having to sit down with our politicians to go over this exactly and maybe determine where this is at. That being said, it's a story to pay attention to, nothing necessarily to be too wide-eyed or panicked about as you're thinking about what's going on in our state legislature and what's going on with your taxes in the near future. At the worst-case scenario, we'll have a tax cut for a year. At the best-case scenario, your income tax rate will be reduced for years to come because of this provision based on a law enacted in Congress in 2015 here in the state of Michigan. Also making headlines today from MLive's Mark Torregrossa. A warm winter meant less ice on our lakes, including the Great Lakes, which could mean, for now, as we are in the spring season and still on the tail end of winter, what does that entail for what's coming up in the next coming weeks, in the coming month, as we really get into the thick of the spring season? Without much ice cover on the Great Lakes, Torregrossa believes that this could mean we could still be getting late season lake effect snow right here in Michigan, of course, on the west side of the state where that tends to occur, but lake effect snow does persist across the state in some scenarios. So perhaps we could see some of that lake effect snow affect us right here in Oakland County. There's a great paragraph in this article on our website, civiccentertv.com, on our local news page. You can click through and read, where he summarizes how that lake effect snow that we could be seeing here late in the colder weather seasons, as we're now in the spring, the early parts of spring, where he says, quote, "The first thing that we need to set off lake effect is a large temperature difference between the Great Lakes water temperatures and the air temperatures around 5,000 feet up. The water also has to not be frozen in these scenarios, and the mild weather this winter has kept the water temperature, part of this recipe, at temperatures that will produce lake effect snow. We need about 25 degrees of a temperature difference between the lake water and the air at about 5,000 feet to make this combination happen. Usually spring can't provide that cold air, and this March we've had a weather pattern change and are getting that cold instead," and closed quote. Something very interesting to think about after a very thought-provoking winter that saw a lot of warm weather, a lot of unusually warm conditions, but still packed quite the cold punch near its end, with severe weather also a factor as well. And in this case, those lakes not having that ice cover for a significant amount of time throughout the winter because of that warmth, losing some of that ice cover, and therefore not having to come back because the temperatures were so warm, now might impact us in the spring, as there is still that temperature difference between the air at about 5,000 feet, as Torregrossa said, and the water temperatures in the Great Lakes, especially you think about Lake Michigan here in the lower parts of our state, in the lower peninsula, and the impact that that might have as, of course, it's a Great Lake. It's a large surface area, and warming that up takes some time, usually takes several months. How long it's going to take this time around, given that the water temperatures are already kind of, you would presume, are higher than they have been in the past because of the warm conditions, because of the lack of the ice. That's yet to be seen. That's something that you can get more information by clicking in this article. There is some more information. There's some additional links that go through to talk more about the lake effect snow process, the lake effect precipitation process, as well as the impact of the lack of ice cover on our Great Lakes and how that could impact your weather experience here in Michigan as we continue through the early parts of spring. Highly encourage you to take a look at Mark Torregrossa's article. As always, he did great work explaining this phenomenon, explaining this topic in a way that is easy to follow along with, and also really does make sense given the state of what our weather has been like over the last several months, and how that lack of ice cover, that lack of cold that we loved all winter long. It was a warm winter. We could get outside and not be freezing cold. We didn't have to bundle up all too often. We didn't have a ton of storm systems necessarily that came through and really had a huge impact until late in the season. But that means for us now in spring, we could still be seeing some of that lake effect snow, even now as we're approaching quickly the month of April, due to the conditions on the water, with the water temperature and, of course, the warming conditions outside in the air, including at that 5,000-foot level that Torregrossa says is so critical in this process. It's a really interesting article. I had a chance to look through it this morning, of course, as I was picking out what are those top stories that we should be talking about here in Oakland County on this beautiful Wednesday in our local area. And that was the first one that really popped up as something interesting because of the season we've had. Now that we're in the spring, we're expecting 60-degree temperatures on Friday this week, and all of that still with the thought in the back of my head that, hey, we could still be getting some snow here in Michigan very soon. And lake effect snow, which tends to inflate things a little bit on our side down the road, all because of that warm winter we had that we enjoyed so much. Look, I'm not a big fan of the cold. I'm not necessarily, maybe it makes me a bad Michigander. I don't ski, I don't snowboard. Guess what? Here's another one, at me. I know yesterday was Trash Talk Tuesday, but wait 6 days to at me on social media. I also don't know how to play euchre. I'm a terrible Michigander. I don't like the winter very much, but I enjoyed this winter because it was warmer. Even with those storms, not too bad. But this is explaining a little bit about how a bit of winter might persist here in our local area as we go forward due to those temperatures. And of course, as always, a big factor, the Great Lakes, always making an impact right here in Michigan. Also making headlines today from Chandra Fleming at the Detroit Free Press. Classic car lovers, history lovers, and those that just enjoy exploring Detroit can rejoice as an antique car tour is coming to the Motor City. Antique tour company, which actually was founded in 2018, specializes already in Detroit history and Detroit-made vehicles, and is combining that into a tour of the D, visiting sites such as the Riverwalk, the Aretha Franklin Amphitheater, and historic Lighthouse Depot, and more across the city. The Riverfront Loop will coincide with another beloved Metro Detroit tradition, Detroit Tigers baseball, operating before every afternoon and evening ball game, with tour prices beginning at $72 on the company's website, or by calling them at 313-333-5833. Again, you can go into this article on their website and click through their website for tour information, to purchase tickets, to learn more about where they're going, how those, how that antique car angle kind of factors into this. And it's all going to begin, in fact, on April 6th around the riverfront between Hart Plaza and Mount Elliott Park, as the Tigers take on the Boston Red Sox that afternoon, and will be part of that entire series that continues games through April 9th of next week as well. And there's so much more to learn about this, to go through Corktown, to go through Michigan Central Station, so many different historical locations that you can learn about, and be downtown in a great environment during Tiger baseball, especially early in the season where there's all this hype and excitement surrounding the Detroit Tigers. Look, they're not going to be the best team this year, but there's always that fun and that excitement early on in the season. Who knows, 2006 could strike again in the baseball sense, hopefully, not in necessarily too much else that came after 2006. But in the baseball sense, if 2006 strikes again, this team hits it out of the park, pun absolutely intended. This could be a really exciting year for Tiger baseball, and what better way to explore the city of Detroit before those early afternoon and those evening games than look into some of the great history in Michigan's largest major city. Detroit and the metro area also is a place that has such an amazing relationship to its history here in the Greater West Bloomfield area, where we originate our broadcast on our flagship Civic Center TV. The Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society does so much to engage in our local history here in West Bloomfield Township and in the Tri-Cities of Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake Village, and Keego Harbor. All throughout the year, and they participate in historical events with many other organizations like the Michigan Historical Society, the Oakland County Pioneer and Historical Society as well, that does amazing work to preserve our local history. So not only can you go down to the city and explore some of the amazing history right here in Oakland County and in our surrounding areas, you can also do so right here in Oakland County. I meant go down to the city and explore some of the great history in the city of Detroit, and go to some of those landmark locations, and maybe even go to Comerica Park and enjoy some baseball with the Detroit Tigers and the visiting teams from around the country, and see some of our best athletes here in the local area. You can also explore so much history right here in Oakland County. As I mentioned, the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society, Oakland County's historical organizations as well. You think about different places like the Chaldean Cultural Center, another one right up the road from us on Walnut Lake Road in West Bloomfield, tells a great history of the Chaldean community here in West Bloomfield and in Oakland County at their historical museum as well. That's in Shenandoah Country Club at the Chaldean Cultural Center, and you also think about Dearborn. There's also great historical locations around the Dearborn area too for our local populations, diverse populations, and even going back to the city of Detroit, the Detroit Institute of Arts, the DIA, another great location. All these different places you can explore either through these tours, through other tours, or just by going yourself and exploring. We're into the warmer season. It's a great time to get outdoors, or even go indoors throughout Oakland County and around the city of Detroit and explore some of our amazing historical locations right here in Michigan. And of course, going all around the state as well. Michigan.org, our friends at Pure Michigan and Michigan Economic Development Corporation do a great job of providing those resources online as well, so you can explore some of the great historical locations all throughout the state. Plan your trips around the history of the state of Michigan at those landmark locations in Detroit and Lansing and Grand Rapids, those major cities, and tourist places and tourist attractions like Mackinac Island or Mackinac City or Traverse City, or going on to the beaches of Grand Haven and Muskegon on the west coast of the state, or heading down to Detroit, going on the Detroit River, and exploring some of those locations too. There's so much history right here in Michigan that you can explore through these kinds of experiences each and every day. So highly encourage you to take a look at this great reporting being done by Chandra Fleming at the Detroit Free Press on our website, civiccentertv.com. Click on our local news page and then click through to these articles to read more information and learn about even more fun and history right here in Oakland County and around the state of Michigan. Finally, making headlines today on our local news page on civiccentertv.com from Janelle D. James and Kelly House at Bridge, Michigan. It's hunting season coming to a close, which means it's going to be fishing season in the Great Lakes state. That means it's time to go get your Michigan fishing license before you hit the waters with your bait and reels for some personal solitude or some family bonding or maybe even a little bit of both. But this pastime is not what it used to be in Michigan. In recent years, fewer people have been venturing onto our waterways to fish, with license purchases down by over 1 million people since 2021. That's about 3.4% in the last several years that these numbers have gone down. Yeah, 3.4% of fishing licenses purchases have been down in just the last 2 years since 2021. This prompts some important questions for regulators such as the Department of Natural Resources, or DNR. How do you regulate fish already threatened by warming waters when fishing isn't helping the problem? Reducing the number of fish there, that of course reduces their body heat from being a factor in the water temperatures, especially as they're swimming in schools. And one solution could be so-called hoot owl regulations, which would halt fishing at around midday when sunlight already hitting the waters is affecting fish stress levels because they're already so warm from that direct sunlight onto the water. And of course the effect that has as the sunlight reflects through that water and onto the fish themselves and onto the ground below the waterways. That could potentially be one way to help reduce some of the stress on those populations of fish as they navigate to cooler areas of the waterways during those times of the day, give them more opportunity to do that. But another issue that also rises, as always, is funding, which is a huge part of what these licenses do. Funding for regulatory and protective programs are part of what the licenses cover, costing $26 for residents to get their fishing license, $76 for non-residents to get their seasonal licenses, which would last now through March 31st of next year, as well as other reduced prices for seniors and so on. These help to fund conservation efforts, which include adding more fish to certain waterways or removing some fish from other waterways by way of the DNR instead of fishing, or encouraging additional capacity for catching certain kinds of fish that are in greater population to help control those populations, control those relationships with the waterways, as well as other initiatives that go back to then benefit the state's anglers and visiting anglers as well that come to Michigan to visit its variety of waterways, whether it be lakes, whether it be streams and rivers that have such a diverse population of fish to choose from, whether you are catching for meals or for recreation or for competition. There's so much opportunity right here in Michigan for some really great fishing, but some problems can arise because of weather conditions, because of climate conditions, and of course because of the reduced number of people that are fishing every single year, which of course is based on the metrics that the state has through the DNR based on purchases of fishing licenses. So consider some time maybe in the great outdoors this spring and this summer, maybe even on our waterways, and bring your fishing rod and bring your reels, bring your bait and tackle and everything else that you might need to have a great experience out on the water. But of course, get a license first. Not only is it helping the DNR provide some great programs here in the state of Michigan for conservation and preservation of our fish population so that we can have great fishing here in Michigan every single year, but it also it is what is the legal way to go about this. You could be fined if you are caught fishing without a license in our state, especially on those DNR campgrounds and so on that may have additional requirements or require you to show a license before you can be permitted to fish on those grounds. But you should also be careful if you're in Michigan and you're around some of the state border areas with Indiana or with Ohio or even with Canada. Here in Michigan that have different regulations based on where you are on the water and whose space you are in. Keep in mind that even if you have a Michigan fishing license, if you are venturing into another state's water space or into Canada's water space, you also need to have those licenses and regulations covered excuse me, in those areas as well. They have their own separate regulatory systems and licensing requirements. Keep those in mind as you're venturing throughout our waterways across the local area. This is a really interesting story too, because not only is it looking at the impact of fishing on the state of Michigan and the impact of those licenses, it's also looking at how some of that reduced action on the water from our fishermen here in Michigan, or from fishing enthusiasts, or enthusiasm for fishing being reduced, might actually have an impact then. Excuse me again, as I have a frog in my throat. I'll take a sip of water. What is going on here? All this talk of fishing's got me all choked up. Getting sad. 3.4% less fishing. I'm 3.4% more emotional about it because of it. But I digress. It's a really interesting article because it looks at the impact of your fishing licenses here in the state of Michigan. And also really it's encouraging you to get back out on the waters and fish, even if it's recreational, even if it's catch and release and that's more of your speed, or just out there exploring in the great outdoors and interacting with our waterways. This is a really great way to do that. And those conservation efforts, they really do go a long way. I would encourage you to go to Michigan DNR's website and learn more about the different conservation efforts they put in place to help fishermen here in the state of Michigan, help those anglers going out there for recreation, for solitude, for whatever reasons you get out on the waterways, and how those fishing licenses really do end up going a long way. And we think about the last few years with COVID-19 and people going out into our parks and other recreation areas in heaps and droves beyond where they were pre-pandemic. That's not necessarily remained in place on our waterways. While hunting, of course, has become a beloved tradition in Michigan over generations, that's the same thing really with fishing, but fishing hasn't quite persisted over the last few years. And maybe it's just a temporary reduction in that, or maybe there's just not that interest here in Michigan anymore, and that's where it's going to be. But regardless, it is going to affect our waterways, and the DNR is also doing some really great work to combat some of the ways that might impact our waterways and impact our fishing populations, and how they can work around that without having to be so worried about the impact of these fishing licenses. They're doing amazing work. This is really interesting. Highly encourage you to read this and every one of our headlines and news articles posted on our website today at civiccentertv.com on our local news page. Click through those links, read these articles, they're supporting materials. And of course, if you have the means to do so, we highly encourage you to subscribe to these various publications and support journalism on our local level. You can also find on our local news page links to the Centers for Disease Control, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and the Oakland County Health Division's COVID-19 and other public health specific web pages. Great place to start for more information on what's going on in our local area, statewide and federally with public health issues, and of course any announcements that you might need to know on a day-to-day basis. A great resource for all of that. CivicCenterTV.com, just click on our local news link and you'll have access to all of those pages, as well as our headlines making news today and throughout the week as we post them before every single one of our live shows Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. We have a great program ahead on this edition of the Megacast. Coming up next, we'll talk about some services that are being provided to individuals and families that are affected by trauma of various kinds right here in our local area. Meredith Reese will join us from Vista Maria, and then more impact being made by nonprofits right here in our local area, particularly for those for a nonprofit affecting women and mothers right here in Oakland County and in the Metro Detroit area. It's a great program ahead. Encourage you to stay tuned with us. We'll be back in just a few minutes. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Like what you see? Beautiful works of art, masterworks of metal, and accomplishments of artistry will be on display near you. All kinds of artists from all walks of life come together to celebrate their skill and appreciate their work's beauty. Hot Works presents the 2023 Orchard Lake Fine Art Show. Stop by July 29th and 30th between 2 and 10 p.m. between Powers and Daly off of Orchard Lake Road.
Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important.
And now the same is true in the face of flu. Influenza has the power to infect millions.
But it's easy to protect yourself, your family, and your community.
The flu vaccine is safe and effective. And with COVID-19 still around,
it's essential. Together we can face flu season head on.
Visit michigan.gov/flu.
Many people are feeling overwhelmed and struggling with mental wellness these days. So be kind to your mind. Give yourself permission to breathe. Share your feelings. You are not alone. Have hope. Talk to a Stay Well counselor for free confidential help 24/7 through the COVID-19 hotline.
Ronnie started doing prescription pills at the age of 15, and by 19, he died. If your child is struggling with drug use, try not to be too proud to reach out for help. Don't be worried about what the neighbor will think or your family. Just get your child the help they need. Sometimes it's the hard road to take, but the hard road is nothing compared to living with the fact that your child is no longer with you.
There's hope and help at drugfree.org.
Watch Civic Center TV with our brand new live captions. To turn on live captions, go to civiccentertv.com and click Watch Live. In your web browser, click on the Options tab in the top right and find the Accessibilities tab. Then just switch on live captions to heighten your enjoyment of our local programming. Thank you so much for watching Civic Center TV.
Stop by West Bloomfield Town Hall June 14th and get your health in check at the 14th Annual Greater West Bloomfield Health and Wellness Fair. Over 40 businesses, organizations, and vendors take the time to showcase healthy practices, tips, and resources for the community. Young or old, there's something for everyone and everybody. 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Wednesday, June 14th, the 14th Annual Greater West Bloomfield Health and Wellness Fair. This community update from Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. You can learn more about our program on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes State, including My Michigan TV, and find all of our full shows and each individual segment on demand as well. civiccentertv.com/megacast, the place to go, or you can join us every single day for our live programs at 10 a.m. to 11 o'clock, Monday through Friday on the Megacast, part of 90 minutes of news on Civic Center TV and an hour of Oakland County and State of Michigan news across our Megacast network. Joining us now on the program from Vista Maria is Meredith Reese, where she and her team work with a variety of individuals as well as families who have been affected by a number of different forms of trauma, helping to reunite those families and provide those individual services that can be critical for people to move forward with their lives in peace and in harmony and live a normal, happy life like you and I do each and every day. Meredith, thank you so much for being with us.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me.
Glad to have you on with us today to talk about this because it's a really important issue that your organization covers and does on multiple levels. So tell us about Vista Maria and the background of your organization and some of the services that you provide.
Oh, sure. Vista Maria was founded by the Sisters of the Good Shepherd in 1883. And since then, they really had the momentum and the passion and serving women and children. And throughout the years, we carried out that mission. And most importantly, our mission is to deliver innovative care, treatment, and education, focus on restorative relationships in order for vulnerable youth to be able to believe in their self-worth, heal, and build the skills to succeed. And how do we do that? Most importantly, is through our programs, through our residential treatment programs, foster care and adoption, transitional living programs. We do have a multitude of after-school programs and also focus on a great deal of education through our middle school and high school programming.
And tell us more about the new family engagement model that you're rolling out, because there's so many different ways to approach these issues, but you're doing it in a much more unique way. that you have designed yourself?
So thank you, Tyler. Definitely this is pose a great deal of excitement for all of our teams when we talk about engaging families and how the best way to do that. The one thing is that our families are in the driver's seat. And so with our family driven and youth engaged model, it really encompasses just that. One of our philosophy of care components is family united. So we unconditionally accept and also believe in the power of families and communities. So we want to build a model that, again, that depicts just that. One of the things that we have in the model is that everyone deserves a family. Every individual deserves a family member that's well connected. So whether that is a birth family member, a foster family member, or anyone through extended family or through a family member of choice, it could be someone in the community that's well connected. So it's our job partner with our families to ensure that we afford that opportunity to ensure our kids always have some sort of a family connection. Next is parent partnership. One of the things that we uniquely have done here is to ensure that we have added a role called the parent ambassador. The parent ambassador is someone who is partnering with the family unit and actually partner with them throughout this journey, whether it's through one of our treatment programs or other support programs that we have here on campus. A very unique role because it's part of our staff members. They actually provide the guidance along with our parent advisory council to ensure that we put in the best foot forward and dedication for families. Next is family resilience. Although many of the families that we may engage and support, they go through many challenges. But it doesn't mean that it describes as how this family will actually continue, throughout the years through these challenges. So we definitely identify those resources and those supports to be able to navigate through those challenges and the ability to be able to bounce back and recover as necessary. And then we conclude with this model of a sense of strong families, strong communities. So as we work through those resiliencies factors and we start to build stronger families and they feel like they have accomplished their goals, again, the families in the driver's seat. So whatever they set forth as a plan, we as the treaters or the supporters of those goals, assure that the family does achieve them. And so with that, builds one strong family at a time and of course strengthen the overall communities.
And through these various forms of trauma that a child or family may experience, whether it is human trafficking or it is violence or some other issue that does come up, and there's so many of them, that you mentioned that family reunification, if it's possible, if it's safe for everybody involved, is so critical. Why is that such a critical part of this? And just what goes into that process of reunifying this family? Because it's not as simple as, we're reconnecting these people. There are relationships to mend. There are mutual forms of trauma that need to be addressed for the individual and that collective group. This is not a simple issue.
No, it's not a simple issue. And through our mission, focus on restorative relationships. You're right. There are quite a bit of relationships that need to be mended. And that is critical through nature of our therapy, through family therapy work, through family specific activities that we have here on our campus. And also, too, to understand that, again, the youth whom she identifies or he identifies as being part of family, those are the family connections that we really need to work and to really just strengthen. And that does take time. However, us coming from that strong perspective that it is crucial that a family member be connected, because we know youth actually thrive, learn better, promote safety and well-being when connected with family or whomever that they may consider to be part of that family unit. So as it takes time, none of us gives up. with that perspective, because everyone is worth it to be able to have that family connection always. And we do that through that multitude of treatment elements, through our residential treatment programs, to really connecting to potential foster families and so forth, to be able to care for their youth and be able to continue to thrive as necessary.
We're joined on the program today by Meredith Reese from Vista Maria, the Chief Integrated and Behavioral Health Officer of the organization. You can find more information in a couple of places. Either go to Share Detroit's website on sharedetroit.org. We can learn more about Vista Maria and 335 other charities and nonprofits and counting, or go directly to their website at vistamaria.org. Vistamaria.org is their website, and you can also give them a phone call as well at 313-271-3050 or toll free 800-7VISTA-6, 800-7VISTA-6 for more information. And Meredith, in some cases, that family reunification is as easy as bringing them back together and then working with them as a unit to rebuild those relationships. But in some cases, it is something that has to be done separately while slowly reunifying those bonds. And in some cases, that means, like you said, putting them in your facilities or in a foster care program. So let's talk about that, about the latter in particular, the foster care program. Talk about how that is orchestrated through your organization and what you're looking for in a foster parent and those relationships.
Yes, thank you. So we have a very dedicated staff in our foster care department, and we are looking for foster parents. So individuals who are caring, supportive, and want to welcome and open their home to children. We are definitely in great need. We have homes within Wayne County, Oakland, and in Macomb County. And we want to continue to serve and expand. So it is very important. And we have a very thorough process that our team engages for those who are interested. So the first step is to actually engage into our orientation process. And so there you be greeted there with our staff and be able to ask as many questions as needed. Get all the answers that you need in order to make that informed decision that you want to continue with that process. Through that intensive orientation process, then it continues on with our training. So we focus on our GROW training, which actually prepares those who are very interested what the realities are with taking a young person into their home. And then from there, additional training such as CPR and first aid training and so forth. We have our foster home development specialists that will walk each process and step through so that it's a successful licensing process at the end. Some of the basic requirements that we look for, again, is to ensure that as we engage with the individual, any of their health status and income status and so forth, this ensure that everything is aligned to be able to take, children who may be of an infant stage on up to from a teenage age. So just ensure that those things are met. Again, assuring that all the documentation that we will need to be able to assure a successful application and to move towards to completion of a licensure. So it's a very exciting process. We have many of those who have gone through that and have been foster parents for us for many years, but we definitely are looking for many foster parents to come as we continue to expand and to thrive.
More information can be found and ways to get in contact with them as well at vistamaria.org. And Meredith, as we continue to talk about these relationships being built with parents or with foster parents to these to kids or through families that may have been separated by a trauma and need to be reunified. A big part of this that factors in, especially for those kids who have gone through a trauma, is it is life-changing, it is life-altering, and in some cases life-shattering, and that can affect them in other ways and in other areas of their life, particularly their academic life. And as we think about that, you think about the stalling of their academics as they're going through this different state that they're in, and they're coming to terms with some of those things that have traumatized them or those experiences that they've been through. That can set them back a while, and those setbacks can lead to further setbacks down the road that puts them in this cycle of different forms of trauma through life. So that academic side is really important. Tell us about your academic services and how you factor that into as you're treating these individuals.
Oh, absolutely. So, again, one of our care philosophies is that education is power. So, so with that, we do value education ultimately, and through that, on our campus, we do have a middle school education and high school education, and our definitely our youth and care have an extensive educational program. Our teachers are trauma informed. So, based on what you just mentioned, you're right. There's a lot of life changing factors, and not only with our staff and foster care staff and so forth to be trauma informed, but the education to be so also. So we are definitely blessed to have that. In addition, is the opportunities not here on our campus, but ensuring that something that is consistent, whether they can maintain in the school system where they originally resided, or there are other opportunities for them educationally. And I think it's also important to note for not only just for the day-to-day education components, but even what happens after school. And I think that's also that ongoing learning opportunities, whether it's through life skills programming or activities, or something that be able to continue for that learning environment that supports the education role for our kids. Oftentimes our kids definitely have career aspirations. So to be able to have them the opportunity to be exposed to different college tours and so forth, we definitely do here on our campus. So I think to your point, education is such a critical aspect, and we want to make sure that's one of those consistent factors. And how do we do that in a trauma-informed way?
More information can be found to get in contact with them, vistamaria.org. You can also call them toll-free 800-7-VISTA-6. That's 800-7-VISTA-6 for more information. Meredith, about a minute left before we'll need to say goodbye. Anything else that we haven't discussed today that would be important for our audience to keep in consideration about your organization at this time?
Yes. At Vista Maria, we are truly dedicated. We are considered to be our fearless hearts. So we are dedicated to our families and to our communities overall. In addition, we always continue to look for persons who want to join our organization and our mission. So we have several career opportunities. If you just check out our website and look for those and see what might be interest of you. But thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, glad to have you on and talk about this as you're helping so many people in a number of different ways, including entire families getting back together after experiences of trauma that may be for somebody as an individual or for an entire group of people. Regardless, it's always going to be a multifactorial effort. Meredith, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
You as well. Very much appreciate having Meredith Reese on our show to talk about these issues and ways that organizations like hers are able to support these individuals and ultimately these families that are affected individually and collectively in a variety of different ways by these sorts of traumas. We'll take a break on the Megacast. On the other side, we'll talk to a local nonprofit that's helping to encourage healthy lifestyles and life choices for girls 11 to 25 in Detroit and the metro area. Stay tuned. This is the Megacast.
When you have a gambling problem, you have a money problem. Don't let your gambling cause you financial hardship. If you or someone you love is struggling with gambling, we can help. Get free confidential counseling and win your life back. Learn more at michigan.gov/problemgambling. When the temperatures are chilly, being together warms the soul. Keep the winter fun going. Help protect yourself and those around you by keeping your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
1 in 4 Michigan homes has high levels of radon, a naturally occurring radioactive gas known to cause lung cancer. It doesn't matter where you live or what type of home you have. You won't even know it's there unless you test. So don't wait. Testing is cheap and easy. And if there's a problem, it's simple to fix. Visit michigan.gov/radon to learn more.
we took action, will you?
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program by visiting our website at civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes State and here in our local Oakland County area, including our co-flagship My Michigan TV, and find all of our full segments and each episode on demand as well. civiccentertv.com/megacast is the place to go for all of that. Joining us now on the program is Tyra M. Moore from A Girl Like Me Incorporated, helping to educate young girls all across our local area here in southeastern Michigan. Tyra, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you on again to talk about this organization of yours who does such great work and has some exciting programming coming up as well. So first off, just for those that aren't familiar with A Girl Like Me, tell us about your organization and some of the people it helps to serve here in Oakland County and around the state of Michigan.
Yes, so A Girl Like Me Inc. is a nonprofit organization that helps girls, teens, teen moms up until the age of 25. We provide parenting class, childbirth class, lunch and learns. We give out free diapers, wipes, feminine products, and also we provide a mentoring program every Saturday for girls, teens, and teen moms 11 to 17.
You can find more information about A Girl Like Me Incorporated by visiting their website, agirllikemeinc.org, agirllikemeinc.org for more information. And so tell us about these programs and how they are going to support these individuals. How do people come to A Girl Like Me Incorporated for some of this help?
So we have an application process. So girls usually find us on like social media because we share about the classes, we share about the things that we provide and give out. So what they do, they reach out, they fill out an application. They always email me and let me know like they filled out an application. So we just ask like they pick a class that they want to attend, and that way when they pick a class, we know that we can set them up with a baby bag filled with baby items, and they receive either a free pack and play or a car seat referral when they come to class. We also, with the mentoring program, we have 10 girls right now, and they're like almost about to graduate from high school. So we're going to start another set of girls once the girls that's in the program move on and go to college and things.
And among all of these things that you're doing, you're also providing some events for these girls too, because a lot of times, especially if they're young mothers, if they're getting pregnant in their teenagers or even in their early 20s, some of those hallmarks of that young age of life are not going to be something they can necessarily participate in because they have bigger things to be focused on. So tell us about some of your upcoming events that help to kind of bridge those gaps.
So because I even started the program, I was a 14-year-old teen mom. So I never got the opportunity to attend my high school prom. So last year, what I did was I threw one. I invited 25 moms, teen moms, ages 17 to 100 years old to come out and have a prom with me. The oldest one that came out was 60 years old. So that's now going to be like our signature event every year, is to throw a teen mom prom for moms that never got the opportunity to attend their high school prom. And with that, it's going great. Moms are happy. They are even happy that I thought of the idea and, you know, made it come to life, because that's a moment everyone should be able to have.
And again, you can find more information by visiting A Girl Like Me's website at agirllikemeinc.org, agirllikemeinc.org for more information, including ways that you can participate and ways that you can support these individuals that A Girl Like Me Incorporated is serving each and every day here in our local area. Joining us on the program today is the founder of A Girl Like Me Inc., Tyra M. Moore, on the Megacast. Again, their website, agirllikemeinc.org. And in terms of community help, how does that factor into these services that you're providing? Because it is a variety of different ways that you're helping these girls and a variety of different ages too, and certainly those needs are going to be different from one age to another.
So like just having the classes or just being a person that these girls and teens and young moms can talk to, because a lot of the moms, they don't need items. They just need like the support and need someone to talk to. So we could create like community events where moms, they come out, and if they do need items, they can shop around for free, or they can call. We have like group sessions where we talk to the moms, we talk about their problems or anything they are have going on in their life. And also with the other ladies there, they all have different things in common, or they have resources, which is so wonderful. They share with each other, and also they also like to give back by volunteering with us, and we love that so much.
And what are some ways that people in the community, even if they're not affiliated with someone that's getting some of these services or participating in some of these events with your organization, how can the community help in your mission to provide what you are to these individuals of varying ages?
I would say gathering like donations if they have like nice, gently used baby items and clothing, or even clothes for the moms or the whole family. If you have those things, you can donate to us. We're always accepting donations. Also, with the prom season coming up, we always like for donated prom dresses, shoes. Also, if people would like to volunteer their services and come help out with the classes we provide. We have a lot of donations, so we always need donation sorters and people that just like to talk to the moms or talk to the youth that we serve, or pick up and drop off donations such as like diapers and things. That really makes a huge impact, showing these girls that it's people all over the world in the community that really want to help. Even if they don't have like money, they can help by just talking to you, because sometimes just talking to a person can make a person day. You don't know what a person is going through. So that's how I try to get help for a girl like me, Inc.
Yeah, and Tyra, you see that impact every single day as you've been doing this work since you founded this organization and have been working with these individuals, especially as this has grown from being a more of a grassroots operation to where it's at today. So just how big of an impact does that do those relationships have? Do those conversations with people that have are either going through a similar experience to you or have gone through that before really change those individuals, those girls and those women's lives?
So by being able to even start an organization and telling my story was something I never wanted to mention, never wanted to tell anyone about. Like, I don't want to go telling people I'm a teen mom, but just by me being a voice and being on like social media and people seeing me in person and know, like, my story is my story, but it didn't define my life. So once girls and teens and young moms hear that, they want to talk to me and want to come out with their story. Even with little girls that's going through things, like scared to tell their parents, like we have conversations together so they can finally feel comfortable, to tell their story. Because a lot of people, they do have like secrets that they hold on to because they're ashamed and scared of what people may think. I even had that situation as well when I was a teen. I didn't talk about a lot of things, but now I just feel free because by talking about these things, I may uplift or bring someone else out of a dark space that want to tell their story or want to help others as well as me.
Again, you can find more information on the organization and ways you can get involved as well, but whether it's participating in their events or supporting their second annual prom event, or just by making a donation to A Girl Like Me Inc. by visiting their website, agirllikemeinc.org. agirllikemeinc.org is their website. And Tyra, you've been here from the start. You've been helping these girls and these women for all of this time. For you personally, having taken the journey that you've taken and now helping others on that journey, tell us about how that feels for you to be able to see these girls and these women change over time and grow into the situation or situations that they may be in, but also grow as a community together and help each other.
So for me, I'm just very excited and happy about everything that's been going on with A Girl Like Me, because with my moms, like, they are like too like a protection. So like if anyone try to say anything or something like that, or try to get over it, you just try to do weird things, they are on it. I usually don't even have to say anything. They let people know. They spread the word about what we're doing and how we all can come together. They even come up with different ideas, to better the organization. And I love that so much because these are girls that, wouldn't even speak up about anything. People are coming out their shell. They are happy to have and be surrounded by other girls and women that's like them, and they don't feel like alone. And I just really feel so excited and happy because I wanted this organization. I didn't even know where and how I was going to start, but I know I promised myself at 14, because of family and friends and community coming through for me because they didn't even know I was pregnant. I just promised myself that I was going to pay it forward, and I'm glad that I kept my word and was able to pay it forward and continue to pay it forward, for the rest of my life.
Again, more information can be found on A Girl Like Me, inc.org. A Girl Like Me, Inc. is the organization. A Girl Like Me, inc.org for more information. And with just about 45 seconds left, I do want to give you one last opportunity, Tyra, to talk a little bit about what this organization really does mean to you, because those situations, especially for young mothers in their teens or even preteen in some cases, there's really still that stigma around that situation. And so to have an organization like this, what does that really mean when it comes down to it? What do you wish more people understood about that sort of a situation being in as a young woman and as a young mother?
So what I would like people to know and understand, please don't judge, because you don't know the situation or how this mom became pregnant. So do not judge. And if they're keeping their child, all you need to do is just be a helping hand or just move on. These girls already feel ashamed that they are teen or young moms and, can't barely take care of themselves, and now they have a child in the world. Help them, be a helping hand, assist them, because all girls aren't just not trying to do anything. I have a lot of hardworking moms that pays all the bills and they don't have anything just to get some food or get diapers or feminine products or household things for their home. So all I would like the community and people to know is just let's come together and help. If you have any resource, if you just can talk to a mom or a teen mom when they're going through a situation, just help them. If you know they need help with schooling, work, anything, if you don't have the resources, try to contact someone that can help them, because everyone is not trying to be a statistic. We're trying to get our education, and making girls and teens feel less than, that is very wrong. I had that experience, but I ate them words and I kept it moving, and now changing lives, and the girls I serve are helping changing lives as well.
And when you come at it with a positive attitude, and when you come at it with in the mode of support for those going through those sort of situations, you can truly see the positive impact it makes on their life. And you can do that at agirllikemeinc.org. Tyra, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
agirllikemeinc.org is their website for more information and ways you can participate and help them in their mission each and every day. That is going to do it for today's edition of the Megacast. Big thank you to each of our guests for joining us on the program today, as well as our dedicated crew at the studios of My Michigan TV, Jared Clark, and at Master Control, our director today, as always, Calvin Brown, here at Civic Center TV. Until next time, I'm Tyler Kieft. Take care of each other, and we'll see you very soon.